Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a new form of talk with Dr. Adelaja. And today, you've been familiar probably with DSA philosophy, DSA thoughts, but today I'm introducing to you a new concept of my interaction with you, of my communication with you. And the topic that I'm going to be introducing today is called DSA's principles. DSA's principles. And this particular series, I want to devote it to principles of nation building or principles of national transformation. So principles that we could use to build nations, to change the world, and to build better society. And just principles of national transformation. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you my first principle of national transformation. How do you change a nation? What are the principles? What are the laws behind changing a nation? This particular principle I'm going to borrow from the wisest man that ever lived. That is from the Lord, that's apart from the Lord Jesus Christ. So the wisest man that ever lived apart from Jesus is, of course, King Solomon. So in the book of Proverbs, that's in the Holy Book, in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 14:34, we all know this, or at least maybe we have all heard about it. It talks about righteousness exalting a nation. So the topic of our talk today is nations are exalted or are built on righteousness. Nations are built on righteousness. Righteousness is one of the key ingredients to building a prosperous, civilized, and advanced nation. So this is my first principle. Righteousness exalts a nation. But that passage, even though it's not hidden, even though that passage is known by many, if not by all, especially Christians, but why is it that it's almost unapplicable? Why is it that basically most nations fail to abide by this principle? And especially when you look back to Africa, where I come from, and you see that there's so many Christians that seem to know that passage and actually quote the passage and talk about that passage, recite it, use it to preach. But why is it they've not been able to use it to change the lives of their people? Why is it they've not been able to use that principle or that passage to exalt their nation or exalt their people? Why is it that we know this passage in Proverbs 14:34, yet it's not working for us? Well, the reason for that is because knowing the passage is different from having an understanding of the passage. Then, besides understanding or having understanding of the passage, we need to go beyond understanding and go into application of that passage, which now deals with wisdom. So we have knowledge of the passage, but mostly we don't have the understanding of the passage. And I'm going to be dealing with the understanding of the passage today before we could implement and, use the wisdom of the passage. So when it talks about righteousness exalts a nation, that is a wild goose hunt right there. Because, righteousness, what is righteousness in the first place? And how do you make it to exalt a nation? How does it build the economy? How does righteousness fix the roads? How does righteousness fix the economy? How does righteousness build the industries? How does righteousness, resolves the political conflicts? How does righteousness, and how will righteousness, fix the situation in the parliament and political parties? And so how does righteousness exalt a nation? One, righteousness exalts a nation when we recognize that true righteousness is not what people do in their actions. True righteousness must happen in the heart of citizens. True righteousness is what happens and starts from the hearts of people. And that's where the role of the church is very important. the role of the church cannot be underemphasized or overemphasized when it comes to national transformation. Now, we call it church because we're Christians, but any institution that is responsible to molding the heart of man, it is essential when it talks about righteousness. Because righteousness must begin from the heart of man. So if it's a religious country, let's say Christian country, we're talking about a Christian church or Muslim mosque. That there must be an institution that works directly with people, both the rulers and the governed, to change their hearts. Because if the hearts of men are not changed, righteousness never reigns in the society. So there must be a strong institution that is working with forming and molding the heart of men. And today, in our society today, we know that the church plays a very important role in that, but not only the church is responsible for the way we behave. It's not only the church that is responsible for our values. Apart from the church, we have families. So values, and most of us actually, our value system was built and formed by our parents and by our family environment. So the family is mostly responsible for molding the hearts of citizens of a nation. So the church, then the family, and then the educational system have a huge role to play, because the educational system, to a large extent, affect the behaviors and the morals of people of any nation. Then apart from the educational system, then you go to the media, mass media, entertainment world. They also affect the heart of the citizens of the world. So, but the one that I would really recommend as the most important mountain to forming the heart and changing the hearts of citizens would be the church. Because of course, most families are connected with the church, but for a family to be able to put the right value system in the heart of the citizen, it means that family must have that right value system. So where will they get it from? The family has to get it from the church. I think that God is the source of all morals. The best morals are coming from God. And so if the morals are coming from God, it means righteousness comes from God. So God is a God of righteousness. So that's all connected to God's commandments and God's values. So the families must be connected to church. And then the educational system also must derive their value systems from the holy books, or from the Bible, or from God. So when we derive our value system for the educational sector from the Bible, and when the families are influenced by the Bible, and the church is preaching not miracle, and you know how to get something for nothing. But if churches will go back to teaching on values, if churches will go back to teaching on value systems, on principles like hard work, principles like dignity of labor, principles like diligence, principles like honesty, principles like truth, principles like productivity, principles like services, principles like excellence, principles like quality, principles that could be responsible for the growth of individuals and the world around them. Then we know that the church is moving right. Because if you look at the Bible is not just a book of miracles. The Bible, first of all, is a book of laws. Laws is the same as principles. Laws is the same thing as commandments. So the Bible is very key in building a great nation and building about national transformation. Now, when we think about Japan today, we don't normally think about Bible, but Bible principles are responsible, into what makes Japan what it has become, and that's a talk for another day. If you even talk about countries like South Korea, the principles of the Bible are responsible for what South Korea has become. The same thing if you talk about countries of Europe, all the countries of Europe, they build their values or they derive their values and build their nations on the values of the Bible. So you study the nations of the earth, and you see that the ones that have been mostly influenced by the biblical principles are the ones that are most developed. But why is it that we in Africa have become so religious? We have a lot of Bible knowledge, we read a lot of Bible, but the Bible does not affect our lifestyle. And it doesn't even affect the nation. It doesn't bring about national transformation or development. It's because the interpretation of the Bible that we now have in Africa is called wealth, health kind of gospel, which is not biblical at all. So, it's paganism. We're still practicing paganism. That's why our standard of living keeps on dropping and our economy keeps on falling. And our religiosity doesn't affect our society because we are not preaching the Bible as the Bible is presented in the Holy Book. We are not preaching in our churches what the Bible talks about. We are not talking about principles of the Bible. We are talking about wonders of the Bible, but not principles of the Bible. And that's what God speaks about in the Bible when he says that Moses knew the ways of God. So God is all about, and the Bible is all about the ways of God, getting people to know the ways of God. But in Israel, why they died in the wilderness, and even God couldn't help them because most people, or the crowd or the populace, were not interested in knowing the ways of God. They were following after the works of God, the wonders of God. So that's the kind of scenario that we have in Africa today. People are not being taught the ways of God, and only the ways of God, the principles of God, develop nations. Now, the wonders of God, the miracles of God, go inspire you and just bring you emotions and things like that, but they don't build industries. For example, if you go to church and they tell you that give and it shall be given unto you, that's looking for miracles. And when you just keep on giving, who produces? Who makes the money? But when you teach people about the loss of production, that wealth and prosperity only comes through the production of goods and services. Those are principles right there. So people will be taught to produce goods, produce services. And when the more services you produce and the more goods you produce, the more developed the economy will be, the more prosperous the people will be. And there will be money to fix the road, there will be money to build, the industries will prosper everywhere, there will be jobs for everybody. That's why principles are what build nations, not miracles. So when we talk about righteousness exalts a nation, we are talking about principles of God. When you teach people, when churches begin to teach people's principles, that is when principles begin to lead to development. For example, one of the principles of says that the hand of the diligent maketh rich. But why hope for miracle brings to poverty? So in our country, we have built our religiosity on hope for miracles, or for wonders, for provision. We have come to poverty. But when our churches and our educational system and our families begin to talk and emphasize diligence, diligence means hard work. Diligence means doing the best. When we are going to be producing the best products, the best goods, then everybody all over the world wants to buy the best. Nobody wants to buy the bad products. Because everybody wants to buy the best products, all the money in the world is coming to us because we are the ones who are producing the best products. That's how countries become rich, and that's how economy grows, and that's how there is employment for everybody, and that's how everybody gets to live well, because diligence has been emphasized as one of the most important values in that society. You see, that's how righteousness exalts a nation. Another way our righteousness exalts a nation is that righteousness must become principles that are operational, not just for the leaders. In my country, when you talk about corruption and that our leaders are not, our people are not righteous, most citizens of my country and most citizens of African nations, they only complain about their rulers. They expect the rulers to be upright. They expect the rulers to be righteous. They expect the rulers to do the right thing. Why they are waiting to just, harvest the goodies and just take the benefit. So one time, during the recent election in my country, I was asking one of my relatives, I was talking to one of my relatives living in Nigeria. I was saying, okay, who are you going to vote for? Oh, then my senior brother, he said, oh, I'm going to vote for this particular group. I said, why? He said, because, that's where you can eat. That's where you can eat. I mean, this election is going on and the campaign, they brought a bus to the local government and gave us, and I'm the local government chairman, so they gave it to me and I got a bus. Other people who are smaller people, some people get a bag of rice, some people get some yam, some people get some grains. I said, why are they giving you that? The election is not happening yet. Oh yeah, so that's just for us to vote for them. I said, they are bribing you to vote for them? What about the other party? They said, those people are too stingy, they don't give you anything, you don't get to get. They said, we know that that other party, yes, they are upright. But they are too upright, they are not giving it to anyone. But we are interested in somebody who will give you. So I said, okay, now, you are all going to vote for where you can shop, where you can eat. Okay. So, how now do you expect them, when they get there, not to be corrupt? So you cannot just be saying they are corrupt when they get up there. Because whatever they give in to you, they are going to find a way to get it back to themselves and get it back in thousands of times more than what they have given to you. So they're going to steal from you to be able to satisfy themselves. But you are now saying that they are corrupt. Why should you complain? You don't have the right to complain when the whole country itself is corrupt. When you are receiving something, that too is corruption. Because you know what is right according to your heart. You know that they are not upright, but you are voting for them because they are giving you something. So if you are compromised, then you shouldn't even wonder why they are compromised. So that is how righteousness cannot exalt a nation. Even pastors in my country, there were rumors that pastors were getting money from corrupt politicians to vote for them. In fact, most of these politicians go to churches and they go to give tithe and offering, and pastors are supporting them, praying for them, making them to kneel down. And even though they know that they are evil people, they are bad people, but the pastors who are talking about righteousness are doing the direct opposite. And you want the country to progress? No. So for a country to progress, for righteousness to exalt a nation, that righteousness must be the principle that rules supreme both in the lives and in the heart and practices of the rulers and the citizenry. So the principles of uprightness and righteousness must rule and there must be the same standard, due diligence standard, both for the lady on the street that is selling stuff and then the person who is in the office and who is the senator. Everybody must abide by the same rule. But if you are saying that only the elders or the rulers must live by the righteous principles and we live anyhow we want, nothing will ever work. It will never ever work. So the principle of righteousness exalting a nation must permeate the whole society. It must permeate the whole society through media. All media must be propagating this. Then it must permeate the whole society through educational system. The whole educational system must tell everybody that this is the way to live. These are the principles to abide by. Then the family altars and the family fellowship hours must be all about this principle, saying this is the way to live. This is the right way to live. And then when you go to church, and the churches are also talking about principles, not just about wonders and signs and breakthroughs, but about principles of diligence, of intent, of righteousness, of truth, of sincerity, of hard work, of dignity of labor, of honesty, of justice, of integrity. When all these principles are also being taught in the churches and in the family and in the school system and in the media and in the entertainment world, everywhere you go, you are hearing about these principles of hard work, about diligence, about dignity of labor, about productivity, about goods and services, and about excellence. When everywhere you go to, it's all about this. That's how the whole people, the whole population of the country become upright. And then when they all begin to live like that, that is our righteousness exalts a nation. Peace. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Now, we need to spread this word, and we need to do it together. For that to happen, we need your help. Just 5 little steps that you could help us to spread the word. Number one thing we need you to do is to like the videos. Please go like this video right now. Number 2, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Number 3, we need you to press and click on that notification bell. You see the bell? Go press on it. And number 4, we need you to go comment. Write your comment, good or bad. Just write what you feel. Number 5, Share, share, share. Share on every platform. Share on Instagram. Share on Facebook. Just share and spread the word. Thank you so much. All right. Blessings.